Yeah, that's right. We got music now. What's up, America? Week 18, episode 18 of Tuesday Night Football. I'm Richard Mignette,
I'm Kenny Nicholson.
and the super wild card weekend is over. And boy, oh boy, that was awesome. That's the best way to put it. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a weekend full of surprises. A lot of games turned out the way nobody, at least us, did not expect to turn out.
Mhm.
Um, but there was one win that was sweeter than any other win. And we'll talk about that more. But that was a great weekend. Um, can't wait for this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, that win is the Bucs win on Monday night. We were both there, and it's safe to say that was since I mean, we've only had whatever, like 6, 7 games, 8 games at home since Brady left, but that was, oh, uh-oh. What was that? What is that?
Hmm?
What is that?
Oh, this thing right here.
What is that? What is that? A house on your finger?
It's a fantasy champion ring, dog. What you
Oh,
mean?
Jesus Christ. All right.
Ugh.
Yeah, a little subtle picky in the nose there. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Um, yeah, but let's just get right into it. We'll review the games, but Monday night, Bucks Eagles, that was unbelievable. David Moore and Trey Palmer making huge plays, defense playing out of their minds. Philly just looked absolutely bewildered from the beginning. They had no answers to anything that we were throwing at them. There was a point there where I think it was 16-9, and they could have made a comeback. They didn't. Um, and I think they missed a field goal at 1.2, or they went for it, 4th and 5. But regardless, the atmosphere was unbelievable. You could just feel it. I think everybody was right. I think we were all obviously happy, like so glad that we were there. But then also you throw on the fact that Philly was just sucking going into it. Just they were not playing good football. Not to say they're a bad football team. I think Philly is a very good football team, but they just right now, like we've always said, seasons have momentum, and their momentum completely ran out.
Yeah, I said in the last podcast they were 1-5 in their last six games. They had some terrible losses, and I think we were both pretty confident going in that the Bucks would get it done. I didn't expect that. There was a first off, the atmosphere was the greatest atmosphere I have been a part of in a Bucks game since I can't even remember. I guess the game against the Rams where we lost. Um, but that game was a heartbreaker. This game was just pure bliss, pure glory the whole time. There was one point where the game, I think it was 16-9. It was one possession. It was like, okay, like, are we gonna are we gonna stomp on them or are we gonna like let this lead go? And then we just kept playing hard. And we obviously got the dub. Baker just put on a masterclass. The guy, obviously, he's a talented quarterback. He's showing it now. It's crazy. I don't know if the credit goes to Baker, but now, I mean, Dave Canales is kind of looking like the QB whisperer, if you will, with
Yeah.
Geno Smith last year and Baker this year. I mean, he's just revived two people's careers in the span of 2 years. So really impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, our team played great.
Yeah, Dave Canales called a really good game. A lot of really good open wide receivers. Gutsy call, I think, on one of the fourth downs to pitch it. Um, I think one fourth down we didn't convert. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't a good play. Oh, it was a pass play. That was terrible. We actually had Payne Durham open, but Baker didn't hit him. Um, but yeah, overall, it was just a collaborative effort. One of the first times all year that the offense, not the first time, but the Jags game we did it too, but the offense and the defense were both playing at a really, really high level. Usually it's one or the other. This time it was both. Um, it was awesome. I mean, obviously it was awesome to see, us beat Philly. Philly is a very good football team, but um, they destroyed us earlier in the year. It was 25-11, but it really wasn't that close. I mean, we were kind of in it, but not really. Um, like I said, these seasons have momentum. I fully expect Philly to rebound pretty quickly and be a contender again next year. They didn't have AJ Brown. Their whole secondary was completely depleted. Backups all over the place, and it showed. And we took advantage of it. We did what we were supposed to do. So now We are on to Detroit, and we'll go there for our next game. Detroit and the Rams. That was a pretty good game. We watched that one together.
We did. We did watch
That
that
was
together.
that was that was an interesting game. Detroit was very fired up. I think if you didn't watch the game, you would have thought they won by 40. They won by 1 point. And they started fast, scored first. They had a pretty good lead. I think it was 14-3. Um, but the Rams had a valiant effort. And for the record, if the Rams would have won, the Bucs would have been hosting, but they didn't. But um, credit to the Rams. Credit to the Rams for this season.
Yeah, I'm a big Rams believer this year. It was fun to watch the emergence of Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua. How they've kind of broken out on the scene, and their offense just exploding, and their defense played pretty well against Detroit. Obviously, Detroit got the win, but that was really anybody's game. The end, they were just able to obviously clutch up and get the win. But I am pretty hopeful. Like, obviously, we're gonna talk about Detroit because the Bucs are going to be playing Detroit. If you're not aware, to any of our listeners out there, we're going to be playing Detroit in a dome. Todd Bowles, side note, was asked a question earlier about the weather. They play in a dome, so weather will not be a factor. Um, but that being said, I am very confident with the Bucs against the Lions. The Lions don't have a great secondary, so I assume we're going to be able to throw the ball really well. And our run game was pretty good against the Eagles. Actually, I remember it being like pretty like solid. I don't think we like had too many explosive plays. But like our pass game was just so good. Kate Otten was heavily involved. He looked like a stud tight end that game. I mean, he's been making plays like all season, but he's never like consistent. He had 8 catches, which I believe that's a record for tight end in postseason history, like or for the Bucs at least. I'm pretty sure he set a
Yeah,
record
it's
with those
definitely
eight
definitely got to be
catches.
for the Bucs.
I think it's for the Bucs, which I
Feel
mean,
like Travis Kelsey probably had like 14.
I'm asking our producer to look it up.
Gronkowski probably had like 11.
Okay. Kate Otten set a new franchise postseason record for receptions by a tight end and put up the second most yards in a single game. So, a lot of details within that record, but it's still a good record to have.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, Bucks and Lions will preview that game also later. And then the last NFC game, Cowboys Packers. We watched that game together also. Wow, the Packers are in trouble. Packers are in a lot of trouble. Excuse me, the Cowboys are in a lot of trouble. The Packers looked sharp. Packers looked really sharp. Jordan Love played a hell of a game. Their defense, Alexander, who was hurt all week, major interception that quickly like took the air out of the building again. Um, Listen, I really like the Cowboys. Though they had a great year. Thought this was the year their offense was finally humming at an unreal rate. They did not have a run game towards the end of the year. It was a lot very dependent on Dak and CD Ferguson. Um, they just they didn't look prepared. I think they might have overlooked Green Bay, and that's easy to do when you're playing the 7th seed, but it uh it definitely backfired on them, and Green Bay dominated.
Yeah, that's like one of those things too with like the momentum, coming into games, which obviously there's no way to measure like how much momentum a team has, but obviously it plays a factor. The Cowboys peaked kind of mid-season, towards the late season, but they did cool down over the last few weeks. They did have a pretty easy run in their schedule against some really weak defenses. So obviously their offense looked really good. I was really impressed by their defense all season. They had a very, very good defense, caused a lot of turnovers. Again, through that middle hot streak they had in the season, all the teams they played weren't really that good. So I think that kind of like amplified how everybody viewed the Cowboys. Like when it comes to like them being battle tested, I think them and the Dolphins were like the biggest fraud watchers. Like everybody's kind of like, are these teams like really elite? Because every time they play a good team, they never come and perform. The Packers, though, I didn't know they were this good. Jordan Love, I mean, he's been playing really good this season. I mean, this is like his first real season as a starter. But he really emerged, man. He was throwing it. He doesn't have a ton of weapons. Like in reality, but he makes these guys look like great wide receivers. Dontavian Wicks, shout out Jared. He's a believer in Dontavian Wicks. Who else was he throwing it to? Romeo,
Romeo Dobbs,
Dobbs. Yeah, he was cooking it up, man, cooking it
Luke
up.
Musgrave.
Musgrave came back. Pretty sure his like spleen exploded,
Ooh,
and he came back. So the Packers, man,
shout out
they're
Chris Sims. Shout out Chris Sims. His spleen exploded at Raymond James Stadium.
oh, I
Almost
didn't know that.
almost died. Panthers game, like '06.
I was
Tough
eight.
game.
I was 8 years
He was
old.
like 99-degree weather. It was tough game.
Yeah, no, I think I was probably watching Cartoon Network during that. So yeah,
Um, yeah, great game by the Pack, and they are going to face San Fran and
San
Santa
Fran.
Clara. Moving on to the AFC real quick. Browns and Texans. That was a whomping, clowning, whatever you want to call it. The Browns were an amazing story. The fact that they were in the playoffs was freaking amazing. Joe Flacco, awesome to see. Kevin Stefanski, you could tell, good offensive mind, good coach. The players play for him. But the time was up. Their time was up. They didn't earn it. And the Texans, they rode that momentum from winning in Indy, winning the division, and winning a home playoff game for the first time since probably 2019.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Any thoughts on that game?
I just blanked right there. Wait, what? We were talking about the Browns, Texans.
Just be like, yeah, Texans kicked that
I
butt.
I saw a post by the Bucks saying "Buy Eagles buy," and I went into a train of thought. Yeah, no, the Texans beat the Browns, and I thought the Browns were going to play a lot better. The Browns have a really solid defense, but I think we all should have known that the Joe Flacco hype. Joe Flacco was playing great. He's a little reckless, and I just, as a team, they are a very good team. I just think there's like levels, and I think people underestimate CJ Stroud in that offense of the Texans, and they were able to get it done, obviously. And the defense played a pretty complete game. Didn't really let the Browns get much going. So yeah, I mean, I was shocked by that. I think we both picked the Browns last week,
Yeah.
and the Texans were able to get it done.
Did I pick Lions? I thought I picked Lions.
We had the exact same picks, so
I swear I said I'll switch it up and I'll let chat. Go back and watch last week and comment. If you're watching this video, go back last week, go to our picks, say, did Richard pick Lions? And if I did,
I remember you
put
were like debating
yeah,
it. I didn't hear. I must have not got that accurately.
it's all
But
right. It's good for our chat to get involved a little bit. Chat, get in the chat and chat it up.
yeah,
Chat. Um, Chiefs, Dolphins. We both picked Chiefs, but then later on I fully thought the Dolphins were gonna win.
same.
Holy moly, they did not. Um, Tua did not look great, and that's putting it mildly. Um, their offense didn't look great. Their defense didn't look great. Another thing about momentum, Dolphins were the doll of the dance at the beginning of the year. Very similar to how they were last year. Um, and again, come playoff time, they just can't do it. They got to get over the hump. It's I'm not comparing them to the Bucs whatsoever, but the narrative on the Bucs prior to the Super Bowl was that they could not play in the cold. The Dolphins, until they win a game, a playoff game specifically in the cold, they will be the team that cannot play in the cold. They lost to Buffalo last year. Granted, they did not have Tua, and they lost to Kansas City. It was minus 35 wind chill, but regardless, they lost. And I don't know. They got a huge decision coming up here with Tua's fifth-year option. I think they'll probably pick it up because in the NFL, a quarterback is everything. What they do, if there's a difference between picking it up and actually playing him, they can pick it up and trade him. They could decline it. They could pick it up and extend him. I think they will most likely pick it up and trade him if I had to, you know, make a decision right now. I would say they pick it up. That's going to be a very cheap quarterback for someone else, if not them, and they'll trade him. Um, I know that's for next year, but regardless, someone is going to want him under contract for not just this year, but next year as well. I think it's for next year. I don't know. Maybe they already picked up. They might have already picked up his fifth year option. I could be completely wrong. Maybe I'm thinking. I am. I actually. You know what? Chat. I'm wrong. Correct myself right now. They've already picked up his fifth year option, I believe, because he was a 2020 draft class. So, I guess the thing is, do they extend him?
Yeah,
I
last year
believe.
they picked up his fifth year
Yeah.
option.
Yeah. So I was wrong on that. Caught myself mid break. Realized that he was not in the 2021 draft. Um. So now the question is, do they extend him? And that is the real question.
There's there's
And
there's a report by per a source Bleacher Report. Dolphins GM says goal is for Tua to sign long-term contract.
yeah,
Speculation, that's not confirmed. My take is I would assume they re-sign Tua. Quarterback is a very hard position to fill, and if you have,
uh,
an above average quarterback, I think he was definitely top five in the league in passing yards, and he can get it done. I don't see why you get rid of him, in my opinion. Granted, did he have a terrible playoff game? Yeah. But I mean, you can assume the weather. He got banged up a couple weeks prior. You can assume a couple of factors played into that. If that was me, I would probably extend him. I mean, I don't know how many better options you got. They definitely don't have a good draft pick. So, um, yeah.
Tyreek Hill did say that he believes that this is the group to get it done. However, clock is ticking, man. This is going to be year 3 of Tyreek. This is going to be year 5 of Tua. This is also going to be year 3 of McDaniel. So windows in the NFL are very small. Ask the Bucs. You can ask the Eagles. You can't ask the Patriots. They had a 20-year window. Um, Ask the Ravens. 2012. These windows don't come all the time. So they need to win now. They are not in win later mode. They are win now mode. So shout out to the Chiefs. Everyone doubted them. Of course, they did what they did. They played well. They literally flipped the switch. I think we said that, and then later we thought we wouldn't, but they definitely flipped the switch. So shout out to the Chiefs. Bills and Steelers. Shout out to the Steelers for making the playoffs again. Another team that nobody thought would make it, but just it's no knock on the Steelers. They didn't have it. They didn't have it, and they played the Bills.
No, they don't. They didn't have the roster this year to get it
Yeah.
done.
Didn't have
Um,
the quarterback. Didn't have
didn't
the
have to.
defense. Yep.
Yeah, TJ Watt wasn't even playing.
Yep.
They really stood no chance. The fact that they kept it as close as they did actually shocked me. Um, and also that weather for that game, the fact that they had to like get all those people to shovel out the snow. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like some stadiums should just consider the retractable dome. Just consider it because that just looks miserable. I like watching cold games and like the snow and the aesthetic of it, but like
The
sometimes
the
I don't know.
the problem with Buffalo though is that, or even with these cold cities, that if you had a retractable dome, nobody's gonna want that thing open. Like it's gonna be open in the beginning, but when it comes to like last year in Buffalo, nobody's gonna want that thing open. But that's an advantage for the Bills to play the Dolphins in the cold. But I'm sure
So
their
you're,
fans during that game is gonna be like, close the dome, it's freezing, or close it up. But at the same time, it's like
yeah,
so it's almost like if you get that option, it's gonna take it away completely. But I don't know. I think there's certain cities like Green Bay can't have it. It's just listen, it's a part of the game.
they'll
I think
never.
I think the storm before, I think it was more. I don't think people realize that like in order to play a football game, you have to get to a football game. I don't really think that people could do that. So everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is not my NFL." It's not really about the NFL or like what year it was. You can't get to the game. So if the players can't get to the game, I don't, there's no football game. So let's just keep that in mind for all those people on Twitter who think they know the world. Yeah. So that's the recap of the wild. Sorry, it just pissed me off listening to everybody be like, I can't believe this. Like, dude, you go out there and you try to get to that game. Probably not gonna be able to get to it. Um, our Super Bowl prediction, our winners are still available. Our NFC teams both lost. So
Yeah, I might need to update that.
we'll make a new one. Listen, we can't hold it against us. Okay. Can't do it.
We got
But
wild.
um our record last week, we went what, 5-2?
No,
No? What are we
no.
four?
Well,
We
for
went four
me,
and three?
for me, I had us at 3-3.
There's 6 games. There's 6 games. 3-3.
Well,
I might be 4-2. I'll let the chat decide that. I'll let the chat decide my
then
fate.
I want to be 4-2
No, it's not how it
because
works.
I picked the Packers at first.
You said that we were all picking the
I picked
same
the Packers
teams.
first. I picked the Packers first, and you're like, don't do that. So you
No,
really want
no,
to go
yeah,
there.
no. We're a Broncos pod. Remember, you got to stick to your balls or your guts,
Okay. It's a
your
family friendly
guts.
podcast as well. But that being said, I think we should transition over to the divisional games.
The divisional games, yes. We'll start in the game. No, that's the Bucs game. We'll start with the one seeds, Ravens and Houston. Um, Ravens are extreme underdogs. Um, and they're also on the road. Last week they played at home.
Ravens are not underdogs.
Did I say Ravens? My
Yeah.
Texans.
Okay.
Texans are huge underdogs. When you're just looking at names on sheets, easier when you look at logos. That's how my brain works. What do you think?
You take do your take first because I'm being
Oh,
called.
why? So you can just do the
No,
opposite
no,
of it?
I'm being called by my boss. So just give me
Oh,
a
okay.
moment.
Oh, okay. This is real life stuff. Um, hey everybody. This is Richard Mignette here. All right. So Ravens Texans lock in. This is at the bank in Maryland. Shout out to the Ravens. I'm literally wearing my Ravens jersey. Um, I think this is going to be a close game. However, the Ravens are going to win, but this is not going to be a blowout. Um, I said in our group chat earlier today, if you go back to 2019, which is 4 years ago, the Ravens were 14-2 and had the number one seed. They hosted the divisional game versus an AFC South, I believe, division winner opponent, a la Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans went into Baltimore and beat the 14-2 Ravens. Now, that was Lamar's first year as a starter. He also won the MVP that year. So there are a lot of similarities to this game. However, I think that in those 4 years, the Ravens have grown as a franchise. Lamar has grown as a player. They have a great defense once again. They had a good defense that year. They have a great defense this year. Lamar has a lot more weapons than he did back then. I can't even tell you a Ravens player on that team, a Ravens wide receiver, maybe Michael Crabtree. I'm not sure. Um, I'm going to take the Ravens here. It's going to be a close game. The Texans are going to fight. They have playing with absolute house money, but the Ravens will come out victorious. Kenny, are you available to speak? Blink once if you can. There it is.
Yeah, I could speak. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna go Ravens as well. I simply like I've kind of gone against the Texans the last couple games. I believed in them their last regular season game because I kind of I'm a big like storyline guy. I try to predict storylines because that's I feel like that's what the NFL is, in a way. And I knew like CJ Stroud, I kind of just like pictured him kind of emerging as this superstar. But I underestimated him in the playoffs. He played a really good rookie playoff game. Lamar came out and even said like he played better than me in my debut as a rookie in the playoffs. That being
Yeah,
said,
Lamar had a horrible game as rookie playoffs, unfortunately. I love Lamar, but he got whooped on by the Chargers.
yes. So um, that being said, the Ravens are, in my opinion, like the most formidable team in the playoffs right now. Their defense is full of studs. Obviously, their offense is really good as well. Who did they just signed Dalvin Cook, so I'm actually interested to see kind of how they use him in the offense. But I mean, Lamar's been playing great. He's the favorite to win the freaking MVP. He hasn't had like an insanely crazy year in terms of statistics. But they did just make the 49ers look like a Division II football team. And the
Mhm.
49ers are what were widely considered as a juggernaut all year. I think, people look at that line, they're like, oh my gosh, Ravens like 9-point favorite. Like the Texans, like they're such a big underdog. Like, how is this possible? And I thought that too, but then I thought more about it. Like, I think people are still underestimating how good the Ravens are. And I think we're going to see on
Mhm.
Saturday. And
Yep.
I think it's going to be pretty lopsided.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so look, we have a little bit of a look. We're not completely on agreement, so we that's something for the audience. Can anything's blowout? I think close game, but we will believe the Ravens are going to win.
Yeah.
To the other one seed, completely across the country, Santa Clara, California, 49ers Packers. Um, I very much want to take the Packers because I very much want the Bucs to host the NFC Championship game. And you can tell by that is called foreshadowing what I believe is going to happen in the Bucs game. Um, and I'm gonna do it. Go Pack, go! I'm taking
Uh,
the Packers. The Packers went to Santa Clara for the NFC Championship game in 2009. Oh, look at these. We're talking about two games from 2019. That's pretty crazy. What if the opposite of both of those games happened? The Ravens win, the Packers win. The Packers lost to the 49ers 2019 NFC Championship game in Santa Clara. I'm taking the Packers and Jordan Love. The 49ers, they peaked too early and they peaked too late. Give me the Packers. The Packers. The Packers. Give me LaFleur
if the
and
Packers
Love.
win, Packers win, we need to hit up Mackenzie's brother to clip that, post that on TikTok. I'm gonna
Yep.
go 49ers.
Oh my
As
gosh.
much as I want the Packers to win. I'm gonna be rooting for the Packers. Just my logical brain is telling me that the 49ers are the better football team here. Obviously the 49ers are very good. Packers played a really good game last week, tore apart. Who did they just beat? Why am I blanking? The
The
Cowboys.
Cowboys, Cowboys,
They
Cowboys,
they tore
Cowboys.
they tore apart the Cowboys. Jordan Love looked amazing. I just don't see that being the case this week. I think it's going to be a little comeback to earth. We talk about emotional victories. You're telling me that wasn't an emotional victory? You're telling me that wasn't an emotional victory?
That was
That
an
was,
emotional victory. That was an emotional victory for sure. For
yeah.
sure.
And I think for them, that
I
was
think
their
all I think
Super
all the
Bowl.
divisional games except maybe Buffalo was an emotional victory, honestly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The Bucs, we destroyed them, but it definitely was emotional. I think,
Yeah, no
yeah,
doubt.
it's a lot of emotions there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go 49ers. I think that's like the obvious pick, but the Packers pick is what I want to happen, but I'm gonna go 49ers.
Okay. And moving on to the second game in the AFC, Chiefs and Bills from
Yeah.
Orchard Park. We've been talking a lot about the Buffalo weather. They also got hit with another snowstorm today, so everybody in Buffalo, hope you're safe. I'm taking the Bills. I think they're a team of destiny. I think that the Bills, this is what every listen, the famous saying, in order to be the man, you have to beat the man. And the man right now is Patrick Mahomes. Who wants to be the man? Josh Allen. Has Josh Allen beaten the man before? No. He's lost him twice in the playoffs, both times in Kansas City. Now, it is destiny for Josh Allen to be at home, to finally dethrone Patrick Mahomes, very similar to the way that Peyton Manning finally beat Tom Brady in '06. He was at home. The two other games that he lost them in the playoffs were in Foxborough. This is a game. This is where Josh Allen becomes who Josh Allen needs to be. He has to beat the man to be the man. Give me the Bills. I know they're a little banged up. So are the Chiefs. And overall, team wise, the Bills are a better team than the Chiefs. Take logos away from it, take history away from it, even though all I did was just reference history for 5 minutes. Give me the Bills.
Dang. This is another one where like I want the Bills to win, but I'm gonna pick Chiefs.
Wow. Wow.
I I underestimated the Chiefs coming into the
Wow.
playoffs. I underestimated the Chiefs coming into the playoffs against the Dolphins. I did originally. I was very hyped on the Chiefs, and then I kind of backtracked as the week went on. Thankfully, on the pod, I picked Chiefs. But I don't know, man. Like, I just don't see the Bills getting over the hump. Like, this is what they do every year. They have a great roster. There's a lot of high hopes. They kind of get into the playoffs, and they don't ever really get it done. They never get it done. They've never got it done. Not to like rub that in, but it's just the truth of the matter. And I think obviously the Chiefs defense, this is the best defense they've had as far as I can remember, which is obviously huge. And then we look at the offense. Isaiah Pacheco really stepped up last game. And the Bills don't have the best run defense. It's pretty good. It's definitely like top 10 in the league, but I think Pacheco really has a good game. I think the Chiefs are finally starting to get it together on the pieces that they have in their offense and kind of adjusting. Travis Kelce, we've said it a ton on this podcast. He's obviously taken a step back, but I am confident that Patrick Mahomes and the boys will get it done. Again, I want the Bills to win, but my pick is Chiefs.
Tough pick. All right. Last game, best game. Bucks Lions from Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan.
It's gonna be a good game, man. I'm excited.
First divisional game in 30 years for Detroit. We hosted a divisional game 2 years ago. Not to brag. I'm taking the Bucs, and that should come as absolutely no surprise to our regular listeners. Shout out to our regular listeners. Um, there's a couple reasons why. One, obvious, the Lions have not been here before. They just haven't. In fact, they have not been at home in the divisional in quite some time, since as long as you and I have been alive. Um, Dan Campbell, first time in the division, first time in the playoffs as a head coach. This is not Todd Bowles' first time as a head coach in the playoffs. Number two, or number three, the fans. Fans have absolutely no idea what's going on right now. This is all new territory to them. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That is just a fact. They have no idea how to act right now. Okay? They have no idea what it's like to go into the divisional
Oh
game at
my
home and
gosh.
compose yourself. They are going to it's like when you take a baby to the park and they just run around for the first 30 minutes and then you know they're just going to
Oh,
sleep good that night.
oh
That's
my.
exactly how it's going to be in Detroit. They are going to be done. Their voices are going to be by the fourth quarter. They're going to That's all you're going to hear because they got no voice left. You got to say you got to last for 4 quarters, man. The fans simply don't know how that works. I'm not talking down in any way to them. I'm just saying, as a fan who has been there before, I've been to a divisional game. I've done it. It takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you. Okay, you guys are big favorites. Player Amon-Ra St. Brown, never been there before. La Puerta, the door, never been there before. Jared Goff has, but a lot. John Skipper, the guy who reported, never been there before. A lot of the team has been there before. They've done it. They've been there. They walked the walk. They talked the talk. I like the Bucs. Lions, great team. I like Dan Campbell. I like him a lot. There's no BS. I like Dan Campbell a lot. He has proven that he can enforce how he wants to play and how he wants to coach on a team. He did that. He brought in that grit and grind to back to Detroit that they were missing with Patricia. They're a great team, but unfortunately, like we said, these seasons have momentum. The Bucs score for. I'll say this right now. We can also clip this. The Bucs score first, they will win the game. If the Bucs score first, they will win the game. Go Bucs.
Go Bucks. Obviously picking Bucks. That comment right there about the fans just like took me so off guard. That was hilarious.
Just saying, man.
Oh my
Listen,
gosh. That
people
was
think that it's
good.
easy being a fan. It ain't. It ain't, bro. It ain't easy
That
being a fan. You got to really. You got to. My whole Sundays when I go to a Bucs game are like I got a routine. I can't have coffee. Okay, it's gonna ruin my day. It's gonna ruin my stomach. Um, I got to eat at a certain time. I have certain meals I can and can't eat. I got to eat breakfast at a certain time. There's certain drinks I got to drink. There's a certain jersey I got to wear. Listen, bro, it's no different than me putting on my cleats and my shoulder pads. All right, I'm just not playing. I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to do it.
yeah. That was good. And yeah, so I'm gonna go Bucks as well. I actually do think that we kind of match up well with the Lions. Obviously, we played a great game last game, and I think it should scare people. Like we didn't even use our weapons. Mike
Yep,
Evans did have a costly drop. He should
big
have caught
time,
a deep
big time,
one.
big time, big time drop.
And then I think the play right after, it was either, I think it was the David Moore touchdown was the play right after, or the Trey Palmer. I think it was David Moore, and everybody kind of like forgot Mike Evans dropped the ball, but that was a really bad drop. Thankfully, it didn't really matter. But the touchdown scores last game were David Moore, Trey Palmer, and then I forgot the other one. It was I forgot the other one. Do you
We
know?
had
Top of your head?
it was David Moore and Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin, that's right. It was that one he just threw up and Chris Godwin that came back. I remember. Okay. So Chris Godwin, obviously one of our stars, but still, like Rashad White, he played a pretty good game, but we didn't really involve him too much. Mike Evans obviously had that costly drop, but I mean, our other guys are stepping up. I mean, our defense is stepping up. Anthony Nelson, I believe, had that safety sack. Like we're just having guys across our team step up. The culture is just so awesome to look at, and I really think we have a shot at winning this game. And I'm pretty confident that the Bucs will get it done. And like Richard said, like we've been there before as a team, as an organization. There's a standard. We've won the NFC
Yep.
South 3 times in a row. We are, believe it or not, one of the top teams in the NFC. It's just crazy to see that we're in the last 8. We're literally the final
We are
8.
the only NFC teams that make the playoffs 4 years in a row.
Yeah. Oh, we
I
made the
think.
playoffs 4 years in a row, huh?
Yeah, because the Niners did not make it in 2020. The Cowboys not make it in 2020.
2020,
The
2021,
Packers didn't make it last year.
2022.
The Eagles didn't
Oh,
make it. The Eagles didn't make it. We're the only NFC team to make it 4 years in a row.
yeah, yeah. I forgot in 2020 we were a wild card team. We
Yep.
didn't make. Yeah, the Saints won the division. That's right.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, playoffs 4 years in a row. I mean, we are a good
We
organization.
certainly know the Lions didn't make it the last 3 years. Not to. I'm just saying.
No,
It's just again. It's just a fact. I'm not. Just a
and
fact.
I think this is the beginning of a good chapter for the Lions. They have a lot of young, really good players on their team. That being said, we have
Agreed. Agreed.
we have a lot of Super Bowl winners on our team. Still to this day, we have a lot of guys with playoff experience. So I think we're gonna huddle around. Baker's already got a really solid mindset, so I'm excited, man. I'll leave it at that.
Huge, huge, huge game. Can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be loud, a lot of energy, a lot of focus. Um, but the Bucs will come out victorious. If we score first, not saying if we score second, we won't either. But if we score first, the Bucs will win the football game. That is something I truly, truly believe in. I believe in Todd Bowles. I'm 1-0 in playoff games since I took that picture of Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield. I was 0-2 at Bucs games this year. I thought maybe my being at the divisional game or the wild card game would bring some bad mojo. It did not. Turns out I actually brought good mojo. Not gonna put that whole win on me, but again, if I'm not in the stands, I don't know how that game goes. But yeah, that's all we
Yeah,
got.
I
That's all we
think
got.
uh, I think the entire stadium, all the fans after that game, we should have went on the field and just did jersey swaps with each other. Because I
Yeah.
mean, that stadium, if you weren't there, like I can't describe. It was
Can't listen. If you
rocking.
weren't there, hey, you just got to be there. You
It
just
was
had to be there.
it was rocking.
The
Um,
TV didn't do it justice.
no, no, and real quick, we have pretty much a minute left. Super Bowl predictions. Do you have any changes you want to make real quick before we wrap up?
Yeah, Bills Bucks.
Bills, Bucks, and you have Bucks winning it all.
Bills. I can't do that. Bills Niners.
Yeah, I'm gonna do.
If the Bucks don't win this week,
Who are the
then I'll
NFC
change it
left?
again.
All right, I'm gonna do Ravens. Ravens 40. This is the most basic. Ravens 49ers, Ravens winning it all. I don't have enough time to think. So
Basic.
I don't have enough time to think. So
Basic.
we got to wrap up. But yeah, you close out. See you guys next week.
Shout out
Go
to my cousin
Bucks.
Tyler. He had a baby boy today. Shout out
Shout out
Tyler.
Tyler. Shout out your baby boy. I don't know the
Shout out to
name
all the
yet.
family.
God bless. That's amazing.
God
We
bless.
love you. Peace.
Peace.